Excited. It's going to be the exact same final we had last season in the MTN 8. It's Orlando Pirates, the holders, the 3 times in a row winners that are going to be taking on Stellenbosch, a team they beat last season to their trophy. They had to do so, of course, by defeating over 2 legs Mamelodi Sundowns as well as Sekhukhune, respectively. In this match that we just watched now, it is Sekhukhune United that just couldn't do enough to get back into the game after the early goal in the first half that was scored and needed by them, but scored instead by Stellenbosch. It's all over. The final in the MTN 8 this season, Orlando Pirates will be versing Stellenbosch. Well deserved for both teams, but let's focus on our game, the game that we just came from. Sekhukhune had the chances to take it to Stellenbosch. They're going to walk away from this saying, we could have, we should have, we left it too late.
Yeah, and the big moments in the game, especially chances that fell to Bradley. With his prowess, you would have expected him to at least give them a chance. If you check in the first 5 minutes, you know, when Magalo had a chance to come through into the box and lay that one for Bradley, you know, so that goal could have brought them back into the match, but unfortunately they didn't score and it just became a long day.
Stellies, Stellies the better team on the day?
Like I said at the beginning of the game, Stellies, they use this tactic of dropping deep into their own half, wait for the opposition team to add numbers into their into their half. And once they do that, they defend with 1-5-4-1. And once they do that, the teams end up forgetting. They send out their left back and right back to go high up. What do? They leave spaces on the sides. And Stellies, I've been watching them closely. That's where they are dangerous. Once you give them those spaces behind the left back and the right back as they bomb forward, then they will punish you. And that's how they scored their goal when they were playing in Cape Town. Danny Craven, their second goal against Sekhukhune. Yeah. Similar situations came in this game where they couldn't punish them, but you could see that that's their game model, waiting for teams to send out numbers, and then they create space behind them, then they use those spaces.
Now, let me tell you, a lot of you at home are watching this and saying to yourselves, you can't count, because it says 1-5-4-1.
Yes.
You know, so you're like, hi, man. Scheme 4-4-2, 4-3-3. It's because goalkeepers always count the keeper.
Yeah. Of course.
When they count, they always count the keeper.
Goalkeepers are no more called goalkeepers now. You don't just have a goalkeeper who uses his hands anymore. Yeah. We have goal players. So they need to be counted in that formation.
So it's a formation now. You must always 1-4-4-2.
Yes.
Yeah, 4-4-2 fellas. Not. Who would have been your man of the match in this game, W?
It was really difficult, but you'll give it to Mtiani. I think sometimes if you break the deadlock, like today, and a player also today who really stood out in the midfield, you know, had a very, very important role to play where he had to neutralize Mkhize and neutralize Monare. Besides that foray that Monare made today, he was not really there, you know, but the fact that he scored a goal in a big game that takes Stellies, you know, to the final, you know, you lean towards him to be a player of the match. So, yeah, I think it was a good choice, Mtiani.
Well, let's take a look at the man of the match for this year MTN 8 semi-final second leg between Stellenbosch, the winners who moved through to the final to face where he made his debut in the professional football before then signing on for Stellenbosch, scoring and, of course, getting that man of the match. He took his team with that 3-1 aggregate through to the finals. He wins the man of the match. But let's take a look at the stats from the 90 minutes of football played between the two teams. Sekhukhune will walk out of this knowing that they lost the game in the first leg, firstly. The second leg, you know, they were a lot more alive. They have themselves to blame for the opportunities that they have left. And this will be a good stat for them in how they show up.
Look, ball possession for Sekhukhune, we spoke about it, mostly in their own half. But again, late in the match where they were unnecessary long build-up play, you know, facing their own goals, building up and all of that. But again, if you check the goal attempts for both teams, really shows you that this was really an open game. And if some of the key players, you know, would have scored important goals today. It could have been even have been better for Sekhukhune, but overall, a balanced performance from Stellies, and rightfully so. They deserve to be in the final.
And it's exactly what we saw. It's 1 and 2 who played each other earlier. And when you look at how they matched up, it looked like 1 and 2, Sundowns and Pirates. Here, it was 3 and 4. And it looked like that, and it felt like that. There wasn't a big gap between the two.
Yeah, definitely. There was no too much gap between the 4 teams that you just mentioned. And it goes to show that they, like Tian is saying, they've played to get into the top 8. And now they are in the final. I mean, they are not in the...
Stellies in the final.
Stellies is in the final.
Yeah.
And it's the repeat of 2024-2025 season final. So we are really looking forward to a very good final.
Best trophy of the season will be going to the finalists of last season. One of them will be winning it. There's 3 goal attempts there, if you looked at it in that stats package. I'm talking about on target. All 3 of them coming from the same boot. All 3 of them nearly close by. So let's take a look at Bradley Grobler when we come back and his impact on this game. Their final, their trophy versus Stellenbosch. It's a repeat of last season's final once again. But let's take a look at this Sekhukhune team that took on Stellenbosch and nearly got close to at least troubling or giving them something to think about. Bradley Grobler in the thick of things, W.
In this situation, Keleto does well to bring the defender right inside, and we were speaking to E2. Yeah, Bradley should have, I thought, maybe use a left.
Yeah.
Because when you use the right, you get to scoop it. Use a left there. And then 5 minutes in the first half, we are back in the game.
It's game on.
Yeah, it's game on. It sets the tone. But he just didn't do that, and also, this one, again, we spoke about it there, make sure that you put it as far as possible, but maybe the defender also little bit of pressure that he puts up, but you expect really much from Bradley there, wrap it up nicely, and then you've got a goal.
Yeah, I think Sage was positioning himself very well. Bradley should have just sold him the eyes, look the other way and score on the opposite side.
That wasn't it. I mean, this is another opportunity here once again for Bradley. This is the 74th minute now that we're seeing Bradley Grobler getting yet another opportunity from a Sekhukhune point of view. And these are the 3 on targets that we're talking about. That second one maybe a little bit more of an opportunity than that first one where you're saying he should have used his left. Take a look at this moment here. A 74th minute with 1 goal already in. It's 2, it's game on there. Space, time,
but did anyone communicate with him that you are alone, take an extra touch, compose yourself? Because if he had gone for an over, the next player who's in the box there could have been the one taking an extra touch if he had communicated with Bradley to say over, and then he picks the spot.
I mean, that's one way to put it. The other way is we speak about side mirrors. We speak about knowing where you are all the time and knowing your surroundings.
But this is a player today who has been off the mark. The timing not okay. I mean, telling Amanzi, he's so experienced. 37 years old, inside the box.
10
composure.
Seasons.
I mean, just control it, and then you've got a net in front of you. But I thought today he was really off, and they needed him to ignite them today. And his inability to ignite them today, has really shown towards the end, that they drew a match and they're out of the cup.
Well, let's go to the coaches now. Sekhukhune United's coaches, Eric Tinkler and Steve Barker as well, is out to Stellenbosch. But let's go with the home team, the losing team, which is Eric Tinkler, that we're going to be speaking to. But firstly, here is Barker.
Coach Steve Barker, a consecutive final for Stellies. But let's start with the performance. That early goal, how crucial was it to get that goal in the 22nd minute?
Yeah, it was crucial. I always felt that, we mustn't come and defend. I think the easiest and best way to win this tie was to get an early goal. And as much as Sekhukhune wanted their early goal, a little bit unlucky with a crossbar out in the first couple of minutes. But, we took opportunity, and I think thereafter it was going to always be a difficult mountain for them to climb. And I thought we had a good start to the game, and probably, went into half-time in having really had a good 45 minutes. So second half maybe sat back a little bit. They had a little bit more possession But I did feel that the game was comfortable and in our control, considering that they had to score 4 goals to get past.
Coach, a 7th semi-final for Stellenbosch. Of course, you're obviously hoping that you'll go one up in the MTN 8. But how crucial has it been looking at the overall experience that you've garnered over the past couple of seasons?
Yeah, I think it's standing us in good stead. I think once you get into deep ends of competitions, not only locally in the Confed, you know, and we've now learned how to play home and away games. So I think that experience is starting to show. I think we showed today our maturity and the professionalism to get the job done without, you know, we didn't panic, we didn't sort of sit back. We took the game to them knowing the importance of away goals. So, yeah, it's a lot of semi-finals now. You know, we're starting to make finals. And all you can do to win trophies is to get into the final. Then there'll be one last man standing between ourselves and Pirates. So, again, looking for a rematch from last year and looking forward to the final.
Does it give you that extra motivation, since it is a revenge, an opportunity to avenge what happened in that final last year?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word like avenge, but it does give us motivation. You know, we want to win a trophy. We're now this close again. We're 90 minutes away from lifting a very, very big trophy. So besides, you know, wanting to get one over Pirates after losing the final and also losing last week, the determination is more just, you know, we do this and we work hard every day to win trophies and one day be able to show our grandchildren medals. And, you know, so that's the main motivating factor is to go out there and fight and do our best to win the trophy.
Coach Eric Tinkler. Coach, commiserations on that loss. Let's talk about firstly those reflections and that goal coming in the 22nd, almost killing off the tie, looking at them scoring away from home.
No, I think what's more important is the chance that we had before that. You know, we had a chance that hit the crossbar and then possibly it might have been a different game, you know. But as I said in the pre-meeting that, you know, today we had to take a certain amount of risk. And they are a team that are going to be dangerous on the counter. You know, we took that risk, we got punished, and we found ourselves 1-0 down, you know. But I think the team overall put in a massive effort. It was never going to be easy to turn this around. But I think what I saw tonight makes me very, very happy in terms of the character we showed and the work ethic that we showed and the resilience. We kept going, we kept trying. Yeah, they're going to catch you on the counter, but as I said, you know, that we have to be positive. We have to try and go forward. And we had chances, you know, to score, and we managed to get the equalizer. Just not enough, you know, but we didn't lose it because of how we performed tonight. We lost it because of the way we performed away from home.
Coach, looking at just moments after you make that substitution, bringing in Tim as well as Mokoena, sort of changing the shape of the game and getting that equalizer, do you perhaps believe that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. We just made 2 changes and we managed to get the goal when we made the 2 changes. So it looks like the substitutions were the reason, but I don't think it was the reasons. You know, we were creating situations, we were creating chances. And it happened, you know, obviously when the 2 of them came on the field.
Coach, this is the first cup competition of the season. Brilliant performance so far in the league. How do you then take lessons from this one going into the many more that are coming for the rest of the season?
You got to learn and learn fast because your next game is in 3 days' time. Like I said there on Supersport, you know, it makes no sense. 8 games in the space of a month. You know, if you're successful, it means you're getting punished because you have to play 8 games in the space of 4 weeks. Doesn't make sense.
Hard luck, Coach.
Thank you.
And that is the coach of Sekhukhune United, Coach Eric Tinkler, bowing out of the MTN 8 after that loss, the 3-1 aggregate loss to Sekhukhune United overall. But Stellenbosch rather are going to the final where they will play Orlando Pirates in a rematch of last year's final. And from here at the new Peter Mokaba Stadium, have a lovely evening further.
Sebonga Mamiso, thank you so much for that one. We're going to see you again soon. SABC Sport reporter there. That is Lonabo Miso. You can catch as well on Radio 2000 during the week. Stevie Barker has shown that a program, and I'm not talking about a team or a club, I'm talking about a program that they've got going on in Stellenbosch. Same as what he had back at Tuks as well. Because 3 years ago, they get out the quarterfinals. 2 years ago, they get out the semifinals. Last year, they make it to the final. They're in the finals again. You can see a progression in what they're doing.
A lot of things. If I have to talk about Coach Stevie B, I'll say lots of things. A first CAF A coach who graduated through our program. But Andile, you're talking about the good model they have, you know, being able to spot talent. I mean, their scouting has been excellent. If you pick up a player like Mtiani from Milford, it means they do their data analysis, they do their scouting, and they check players who are emerging, you know, and sometimes they get them for good money. And again, his ability to do good business, you know, check Nku, you check Kiba, you know, and again, retaining the core of the team, which is very, very important. I mean, Molo Isani at the back, and then you come in the midfield, you have Jabbar there, and then up front you have De Jong, and then also Titus. I mean, many of us have been saying, why isn't Titus moving to the big teams? But it's because maybe at the right time they will be able to release him. But big ups to Coach Barker, but also their model, you know, and also this is one of the few teams in the league that has a clear plan on how they play. You know, you two spoke about how they have a compact block, how they sit inside their half, and how they break with speed. So yeah, big ups to Coach Stevie B.
And it's a team that he has to rebuild every season, because every season the big teams come and they take the best of his players. His captains go every season. His top goal scorers, his best players go. Titus is one of those that has remained over the years, but also those dangerous players that you wonder how long it's going to take for him to go. So it's a tough building around players with players for him.
No, they do have a good model. They do have a good development structure. Every time they sell a player, it's either they go get a replacement in the second division or from the teams that gets relegated, or they even promote a youngster who can easily come in and fit in like a glove in the system that is played by Stellies. So I don't think it's going to be a huge loss when they lose Titus, because the player needs to grow. He wants to see himself being a regular in the Bafana. Look at Jaden Adams, look at Reyners, look at Dupree. So they want to get to bigger clubs, compete at the highest level. So I wouldn't blame Titus if he's the next player to move to a bigger club.
Well, let's take a look at how they won this fixture. They didn't win the match, it was 1-1, but they won the fixture. Here's Mtiani here, the man of the match, scoring this goal. We're speaking about Stevie Barker and how he sets up his team and how he plays. Sekhukhune here, their own worst enemy.
Yeah, no. Stellies set a nice trap, but Sekhukhune, if I were Reynaldo Lena, I wouldn't have risked that pass. Because remember, when you build up, Andile, you have to open up and stretch the field. Now to be playing that straight ball down the middle, that was their downfall. But again, the quick thinking from Mtiani in the half 10, he knew that Sekhukhune are still spread, they are still out of positions, and he just took a touch and he took a shot.
It's important also just to add on what Itu is saying. The two centre backs is key. They are too far apart, and in the middle there, it's an important block of 5. You know, they are already outnumbered. It's 1 against 5 there, and the two centre backs are wide apart. One of the central midfielder is deep right in there. Cardozo doesn't have a chance to even try to put pressure there. And of course, we spoke about Lena. Maybe didn't set up the right way for that, and Mtiani takes a shot. So a little bit messy in the build-up structure, Andile. The two centre-backs wide open. The central corridor, we talk about the corridor, is wide open there. And of course, a lot of ill discipline for Ramala, who is the number 10 in this game, to come into that space and try to be in the first phase of the build-up, you know. So that cannot be allowed. The team is stretched. The centre-backs are wide. It's open. They fall into the trap. And Stellies take an advantage.
And to add to that, Maha, I think when you are a central midfielder and you go and ask for the ball, you have to be half-turned. You have to know where you are standing and who's around you. So he's a left-footed player, but he controls going towards a Stellies player. Hence, they took that ball and quickly released it to Mtiani, and the rest is history. He punished them.
When I look at what they offered in defence, Sekhukhune United, in a bit, and we'll speak a little bit about the interview we saw there from Sekhukhune and what they're building. But firstly, let's just complete the Stellies here conversation. And here they are again. 52nd minute this. This is a team that knows very well that that one goal probably had it sealed, but still wanted to make sure, get more surety. Playing into the box here, playing in the face. A free header there, quite close.
It's a little bit of a problem. The marking for set player Andile always has to be mixed marking. You know, so either we go man on man and some of the players will mark zonal. But once we have so many bodies and it's not really clear, I mean, I saw in the first game Sundowns, and I'm sorry to get to that game, but the structure when you're watching that game is quite clear. You've got two lines which are zonal, but again, when there's a player who's free, there's man marking immediately. So mixed marking is very important, but when you have the right numbers in the box and people are not going for the ball, it always creates problems. And if you check in the first game also, that Sekhukhune conceded from a set play, so they need to really work a lot on the set play. You know, decide who are the people who are supposed to go for the ball, who are going on a zonal, and then who are doing the mixed marking.
Let's change focus perhaps to Sekhukhune a little bit here. We heard Eric Tinkler. He's stabilized this team. It looks like it's a strong team. He has to work with a lot of new purchases as well, including their front man, that's their lead man. Dambo out. He's going to be gone for probably 2 months here. So you've got Bradley Grobler that you need to heavily rely on.
Yeah, no, definitely. They still have a long way to go. They still have a lot to do on the training ground because I don't think Bradley Grobler is getting enough supply that he should be getting.
3 in the box.
No, 3 in the box, but he's alone. He's isolated. There's no one to support him. Because in the second half, I think it would have been fair as a coach. You are chasing the game. You want to score 2 goals to force the game into penalties or even score 3 to win the tie. But what do? You take one striker out, you put one in. So throw the numbers up front.
When Ohizu came in.
When Ohizu came in. So rather have 2 top strikers there. 1 hold, 1 supports.
W? Hey, I would have thought that man was being fed in that kitchen.
No, not today. no, for me, not today. Today, he's a big player. 3 chances today. You know, we spoke about one. One maybe could have used the left. The other one also was a snapshot that should have been better. And the third one, he should have been composed. You know, I mean, Eric also speak about it in the post-match there, that first chance in the first 5 minutes, you know, will have really brought them in the game. So for me today, I think he was off the mark. You know, even if you check the goal they scored also Andile, he misses it again and he would have been offside again. So I think he had a bad day at the office today, Bradley.
Well, you speak about the goal they scored. Here it is, 64th minute, with just under 13 minutes to play. One wonders, was it too little, too late? But here's the goal scored by Sekhukhune. And you're correct. I wonder if, you know, VAR persisting. What does it do to goals like this? But talk me through this one, Itu here. This is the goal that Sekhukhune then goes and scores.
Look how quick they release the ball to each other. And even finding each other within the lines. And I'm happy with Mokoena, who received, and that touch was the most important touch, and the dummy, and then he went wide. And you need to flood the box. But I can blame Stellies there for not having a blocking player to be able to deal with that ball on the near post.
For me, just to support what Itu is saying, this is a perfect example, Andile. The 2 centre-backs wide, but again, there's enough ability to come through the centre. And the quickness in passing there. One touch, pass, somebody between the lines, which is excellent also there. And Itu, when the ball is really played in the box, when Matsimbi comes as a right back to come and put the ball in there, Stellies, Sekhukhune has 5 players in the box. So this is excellent play. Streaming the space behind there, you could have had many options. Pass Bradley, pass inside, and then good finish from Kize as one of the central midfielders. But he then has an opportunity to join the attack. So everything right there. If you are a young player or a young coach, this is a typical example of a very, I call it a very, very clean build-up, you know. Centre-backs, very, very nice wide. Ball played through the centre. There's somebody who's playing between the lines. Then they're streaming into the box so that the numbers are there. So this is a good example of an excellent build-up and a finishing.
We'll have plenty to talk about as far as Stellenbosch is concerned, because they're going to the final with the Orlando Pirates. But let's wrap up as Sekhukhune here. What kind of season are they looking forward to? The MTN is now done and dusted. They can forget about that. They've got top of the log look down at everybody at the moment. What kind of season are they looking forward to, you think?
No, I think Sekhukhune, since they qualified for Confederations Cup a season before last, I think they've been doing very well when it comes to that. And they're still very much competitive, even in the league. And I think what Coach Eric Tinkler said, they are focusing on building up to keeping their position on between the top four, so that next season they can also go back to the CAF, because it's what is it's helping Stellies. Their experience in the CAF, it's what's helping them to progress to the MTN 8 final.
W?
A lot of players are growing up, especially in this Stellies team. Omega Mdaga, from the Chiefs development, coming through nicely there. You see Mtiani there. Mojela is now coming back. There's also Cupido, who still has to hit his best form. So really looking good for them. I just hope that they can also focus on the league form. They've played 2 draws. I think 2 draws and 1 loss. So that's a bit of a concern. They have to balance it, and also with the CAF a program coming up that really they need to look into that. But they'll be worthy of an opponent for Pirates in the final.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, W has already mentioned it. So let's remind you what happened a little bit early on. We'll show you the goals. We'll show you the moments that are going to have South Africa talking between Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns. In a match earlier, Mamelodi Sundowns hosting Orlando Pirates out in Attersville, ending 1-1, going to penalties after the subsequent game. Of course, the first game in Orlando was also 1-1, straight to penalties, and it was won in penalties. Maybe even say Chain won it in penalties after saving the first 2 penalties that Mamelodi Sundowns put against it. But firstly, here are the goals that were scored. Sundowns opening the scoring in the 16th minute. Rainers scoring it.
Poor defending from Hoto. With his experience, you would expect him, when the ball is on this side, on the right-hand side, for him to tuck inside and add numbers inside the box. So he was slightly late when Rainers received that ball. That's why he couldn't. And the first sign of defender, when he's desperate to clear the ball, you will see him going down and tackling. He's late already there. But again, I think Sipho Chaine would have done better by getting up as quickly as he can, because the ball is not cleared in the air or away from the field. It's still on the field. So once it ricochets, he must make sure that he gets up as quickly as possible.
I mean, he looked like he had that covered, though. Was there miscommunication, perhaps, or no communication between him and the defender?
I doubt there was communication, because there things happen quicker. And if you say leave it, and then the defender leaves it, and you are also unsure, you will end up letting the ball underneath the body. But I think it was a clearance. But Hoto, if he was there earlier, he would have made the second block.
W, take us through this.
A lot of goals, Andila, are scored from restarts, because from restart, Itu, most of the players, Itu will always use that alertedness. Most of the players, they sleep because they think, no, it's a throw-in, therefore I can really be able to relax. Firstly, the two centre-backs have to communicate and be close to one another. That's very important. And of course, be able to see on the blind side, organize here, organize on the other side. So somebody should have said to Otto, come a little bit closer. You need to be 10 meters away from me in the defending. But again, then we manage the situation in front of us here, which is important. So that didn't really happen. So that's why we call it ball-orientated defense, that players and teams need to be able to defend the ball. So once the ball is on the other side, it's important that we also shift and be able to provide enough numbers around that area. So bad defending there from Orlando Pirates.
There was a difference after the changes. Tito taken out of 38th minute of that first half. It was a big question mark to say, whoa, big player out in such a, but Smilabile then gets pushed up with Shandu covering in defense. And then you saw the difference in Smilabile. You saw the Smilabile that gave Sundowns challenges in that first game.
Yeah, Sibelebele is a great addition to the Pirates setup, because he's more like a versatile player. He can play. You can use him as a wing back. You can use him high up the field as a right winger, and you can see he's been a menace since he has gone up. So he has given Pirates a lifeline by making sure that he's always in positions where he will trouble the defenders. Because if anything happens there, it's a penalty. So you need a player who's brave, who can run at defenders and even get into the box. Look at his bravery here. You know, he knew that the ball was going to ricochet somewhere, and he just put his body on the line.
Speed has been very, very important for Pirates. I mean, under Rivero and even now. And addition of Apolis and addition of Sebelebele has really helped them a lot there. But again, a big challenge for Ronwen. First, let's manage the space in front of Ronwen. You know, players need to tuck in as soon as possible. But again, play to the whistle. You know, we always speak about this, that set up the right way. Your positional play has to be excellent, because he went forward, then he went backward. And when there was a first bounce, he was already laid there. So bad defending from the keeper. But again, there was just too much space that he should have managed to communicate and manage in front of him. And he didn't do that. And once you allow it again to be, there must be a bounce in that area there. Then you create lots of problems for yourself. But again, the speed of Pirates will be crucial this season.
Let's talk about the tactical change that saw Tito go off, because it did mean that we've seen now Lebulo Mofokeng in that central position playing across the board, really. You know, as from a 10 position where he moved, he was on the left, then he was on the right. Because as soon as you put in Shandu and you take out Tito, you had to move players around as well.
Definitely. I think it was a tactical change, because I don't think Tito was doing enough running when they are out of position, and even when they are in position. I think he was slowing things down when they had to hit them on the counter. So hence the coach decided that now I'm going to sub Tito before we get to halftime, and I need speed going forward. And once he introduced Shandu, Sebelebele stepped up, and who created problems for Sundowns? Sebelebele. Who scored the winner for Pirates to go through to the final? Sebelebele. So I think it was a great change, because the Pirates team needed speed going forward.
Is that then, you know, sit in blood to say Sebelebele not for this team right now, not as effective if you play him as a defender as if you play him up front? That was something that we tried. It didn't work out. Give him the position he's best at.
I think a modern player has to be multifunctional. You know, be able to play multiple positions. You know, and of course adapt to the system that the coach wants during different phases of the game. You know, so if you check Hib and you check Rele, they've got different tools in their in the toolbox. You know, Sebelebele has an ability to accelerate quicker, but again to realize moments to be able to get there, and of course good technique again. And when you check now, then it means you can play Rele on the left, can play Rele between the lines, because also he has different tools that he has. He's intelligent, he's creative, he can make the play to be a little bit slow. He's also is also having deceptive speed. So I think it has been good that Pirates can be able to adapt to moments and phases of the game at any time in the game. So this is a good addition for them.
Do I read more into what we've just seen with Tito and what you've just said to me now, or is it just, no, it's just this game that it didn't work out in that way? Or do I read more into it to say, moving forward, what does this mean for Tito?
For me, a team like Pirates, you always have to have players with big match temperament, but also big match winners. You know, you'll have games where Nduli becomes important. There are games where MasterChef becomes important, and it really shows you that they can change the gear. When Masangwani, they feel that the pace of the game is not really what he can offer, then you can have Sebelebele. But again, you also have other players. I mean, we haven't really seen Mabaza also playing a lot. We have seen Makopa, so they have got a lot of ammunition and a lot of options, which is good for them going forward.
Let's take a look at Sundowns now. They're firepower up front. What did you make of that? I mean, you've got a Reyners, he scores the goal. You've got a Stellies, who was, you know, in the last couple of games, he's been the thorn for most teams from a Sundowns point of view. Then you look at that midfield, how it was packed. Allende was there, Mokoena was there, and Jaden Adams starting that game too. All three of them packed into that midfield.
Yeah, no, very important to mention that I don't think Sundowns, I'm not making an excuse for them, but I don't think they've had enough time to rest during off-season. And they've played a lot of games, playing for the club, CAF, playing for Bafana or their national teams. So they've really played a lot of games and they didn't have enough time to rest. And hence the results are showing now. Sundowns is starting to drop the ball now because of the fatigue. But I'm not trying to make an excuse for them because they have
as you say that, because I saw here, William Nyandu had quotes that he says, this is a quote from the coach at Sundowns, right? He says, because of fatigue, we made much more mistakes in this game. We're also a little bit behind in fitness-wise compared to Pirates because of our program.
A lot of things, Ma.
No,
a lot of things, Ma. And we also check the schedule has been atrocious for Sundowns, you know. And again, today you play in Pretoria, you know, at altitude in the afternoon is not easy. And the X factor also is really missing. Even if you play your 3 top midfielders in there, but then you lose Msheshe, and then there's issues with the Ribeiro, and then you also lose the attacking impetus of Modau. And I also saw Morena was also on the bench now. Shalulile was also off, came back. So I think the balance has not really been there. And to add to everything else, the Club World Cup took a lot, you know, because they didn't really have enough rest. I think they only had about 2 weeks to prepare for the season. So it's going to be a very long season because, again, they're trying to blood in the young ones, you know, so that maybe they can take the load of the senior players. But then again, you've got big matches that you are facing. You know, you're facing Orlando Pirates at Orlando, and then again, Pirates again in Pretoria. So
got Chiefs next.
So it's not really easy. So that's why the schedule is going to take its toll.
So you agreeing then with Itu to say the schedule hasn't been kind to Sundowns? They haven't had enough time to rest since the Club World Cup. Then this is a thing for every season then, isn't it? Because every single season they play all the way till the end because they're still playing Champions League. This time around it was an edition of the Club World Cup. The season before that, it was, what is the trophy that they won? The CAF trophy.
The African League.
The African League, yes. It was the African League that they played and they won. It doesn't change. Do you not at some point adapt to it?
But for this one, Andile, it's a little bit worse because they played in America. The temperatures there
was hot.
Were soaring.
Yeah.
You know, and again, some of the players also. Imagine now we're just coming back from the Chen. The Chen is still playing now. In 2 weeks' time is the World Cup qualifiers again there. You know, and the majority of these players must also be in there. So they play. I'm not sure 65, 60 games in a season. It has really been too much, you know. So the players are going to be really sluggish, and the coach has to try to rotate the players and to keep the freshness as good as possible.
Well, the freshness showed when it came to penalties. People that normally take great penalties not being able to do so. And Sipho Chain, well, cheers.
Had the best chance, or one of the better chances in the first half. Steps up as the first to take in the shootout. No going wrong for Dion Otto as he sends Ronald Williams the wrong way.
Ona sireletsa tlhago ya ga Tebogo Mokoena a re bone Mrembula o kgwamoa le ka wana la ka kwa botlhaba jwa Foreistata kwa Bethlehem. Sipho Chain gape wa motlhatswa o kila dira tshalo mo nakong ya fetile Sipho Chain. The Betway Premiership Goalkeeper of the Season 2024-2025. Wagoya Chalo, Mamelodi Sundowns.
He scores this. It's a serious advantage towards Orlando Pirates and some serious pressure on the shoulders of Mamelodi Sundowns. So here is Mariko. Status step, top corner, top draw. The Pirates go 2 up. Well, guess right. Did Williams got a touch onto it as well. And in the end, the quality too much from Mariko and his Pirates that now have the 2 penalty advantage.
Batshameki ke bone fela ba motho ka reng ba lebeletse Marcelo yende go pamoa kwa Chile wa lebagana le abakita abasireletsa yesimnyama saka makula ga dumele hlophi ga dumele Samuel Tian Mapunda Super Chain o dira fela jaaka a dirile mo nakong e fetileng bona ga botsamai ka tlileng a sireletsa.
Here's Mbule up against Williams, and in the Tswane afternoon, the sun begins to go down on Sundowns, it looks. Mbule, Mariko, and Hato all on the mark here. Williams gets us right, but true quality in the strike from Mbule once again. They've gotten a finger touch onto that, Williams. Doesn't matter as Sundowns find themselves in a serious spot of bother now.
Fine gore ba fosa thago ya penalty le Mutiba ho le bagana tshalo le Mzansi's #1 a re bone le Mutiba waya wa kitla aba yetlanya le tloa ya tsela khankhutswe fela ntlha ke gore Pirates final sae go fedile setse bana le tsono ya gore ba ka isireletsa le Pirates fa ba enosa go fedile.
In off the bench. There he is in the shootouts. Babasa against Williams. Pirates looking for a spot in yet another MTN8 final. Here is Babasa and his Pirates that are the first to book a spot in the 2025 MTN8 final. Fourth final in a row. Looking for a fourth title in a row as they look to extend their record and cup-winning ways. The captains of South African football in this day and time. Not easy. Twice they've come from behind, once at the Orlando Stadium to keep it at 1-1 and give themselves a chance in the nation's capital. Went down to Arena's goal. Found